held captive media fans, we're back, and today we're talking about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I'm not going to lie. Before we even get into the review of this movie, if you haven't seen the movie, I know that we're going to like put a spoiler section and everything, but you should just go see it. People are perceiving basically anything as a spoiler for this movie because the plot is so under wraps, so I recommend you go see it. A lot of people are saying go see it in 3D, so like I said, go watch it. But what we do on this channel is we review films. Sometimes we get into the spoilers. Sometimes we have controversial opinions. And my name is Logan. I'll be one of your hosts today. And I have Zane, my boy right here, hey. And my lovely lady Franny.
Hello.
Who saw the entire movie totally.
Get out of here.
Sorry. So, guys, what I thought of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Without spoilers, just my overall rating.
I know, we can't even talk about what it's about at all without spoiling
we
it.
Can say this. We can say this. The multiverse is involved. Benedict Cumberbatch is handsome.
Extremely handsome.
And you know what? I feel like he didn't always look handsome. He started out looking kind of like a salamander, and as time has gone on, beneficial cucumber, eggs Benedict crumple snatch, whatever you want to call him, he's looking fantastic.
The gray really does it for me.
And I didn't hate the ponytail either. He looked like a guy that you'd have sex at the gas station and never tell anyone. You know what I mean? He was a cool dude. But we can't talk about the ponytail. Let me just talk about what I thought about the movie. I think that this is more a Sam Raimi movie than it is an MCU film. And with that being said, that's why I feel like it is one of my favorite MCU movies that have come out maybe since Infinity War. I liked it more than Endgame. It's controversial.
Yeah.
But as a movie, I don't know so much about the overarching story of the MCU, and we'll get into that. So for me, as a Sam Raimi fan, it's like a 9 out of 10. But as an addition to the MCU, it's honestly like a 6.5 out of 10.
So I feel like definitely one of the big things throughout the whole movie, you do sit there and you're like, oh yeah, this is Sam Raimi through and through, which has its good parts, has its bad parts. This is the one movie that I would say absolutely just feels
if I could just interject,
watching.
I think you would agree with me when I say this. And this is a great point you make. I think that this movie is more of a Sam Raimi movie than even the Spider-Man films. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Like, this is, I mean, you're right, dude. It is a Sam Raimi film. If you're not into Sam Raimi, you will not enjoy this.
Yeah, and I know that I was talking with Lacey about it, and she was like, these things were a little weird, right? And I'm like,
Producer Lacey, everyone. She has controversial opinions about this movie. So, well, actually, I think everybody does. I don't think you can avoid it.
I don't think that there's a right or wrong answer with this movie, because there are going to be people that love it, there are going to be people that hate it, and that's perfectly fine. All the takes on this movie are fully up, and I think that I can personally, this is one of the few movies that I could go absolutely either way. I could either absolutely dog on this movie, or I could absolutely just gush over it.
Yeah, exactly.
Nonstop.
Same. I'll say this too. I feel like there was so much expectation.
Yeah.
That's another reason why it's been so controversial. Franny, what did you think of the entire film that you saw without any missing parts?
I go pee once. But no, it was a great movie. I really enjoyed it. I loved looking at Benedict Cumberbatch in this way. I thought it was
in this way.
He looked hot, and I didn't always think he was hot. Definitely not, but he looked real good.
Yeah, I mean, I used to think he looked like a Charmander, kind of.
Yeah,
so.
I feel like there's a point in this which I can't say because spoilers, but you see what he used to look like for a second.
Yeah.
And
yes, that's not a spoiler. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
But
there's a flashback scene in the movie,
right?
Yeah.
Whoa,
crazy.
Wow.
But no, I thought it definitely subverted all my expectations for it.
Definitely.
100%.
I did not get what I was expecting.
No,
me either. I don't think anybody else did. What would you rate it, Zane?
So I would say probably as a film, I would say probably closer to you said 6.5. I'd probably give it a 6. Just cinematography wise, there's a little stuff. As a comic book nerd, no, not saying that he's a bad director.
That's the best part.
It is a strange watch that if you're not ready for,
definitely,
it can be a little jarring. I would say as a fucking comic book nerd, this is one of the few times that I've just felt like somebody literally laid out a comic book and it fucking came to life. I would say I would put it up there at like an 8.5, 9 out of 10, just like as a fucking nerd.
That's so weird. We had this idea where we split it, but we split it for different reasons.
Yeah.
I think that this movie, with its stylings, is so out of the way of what the MCU's been.
Yeah.
That a lot of people will perceive it to be bad. And, events take place, won't say what. But, every MCU movie has some sort of ripple effect throughout the entire MCU.
Yeah.
So I think people will have opinions on it overall for the MCU. I don't know whether they'll like it or not like it, but the opinions are aggressive.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, I don't like it in that way. I don't like the way that it really connects necessarily, and we'll get into why. But I loved the movie as a whole. You're saying, I don't know if I loved the movie as a whole as a film, but you liked how it fit into the MCU?
Not even so much how it fit into the MCU, just like there has been so much nerd content as of late, not as of late, for the past like 10, 15, what is it?
Yeah, but I feel like it really amped up
It's-
like post-pandemic too with like
Well,
Netflix
also like they
and,
finally
Disney.
allowed nerd properties to be the things that nerds love them for.
Right.
Because for the longest time they're like Falcon. They're like, we can't give
I don't know.
a dude wings
let me
and
fight
like
that
let him
a little
fly
bit.
around and act ridiculous. Like they let this be ridiculous like a comic book actually sometimes is.
I don't know if that's necessarily what it is. I think that this was just like Disney's been getting more comfortable letting an auteur take the reins on their films. They're having less studio interference with like the actual making of these movies, because we'll get to why, but there's things about this movie that are very different than the other MCU films, and it's not just like tone, it's literal execution of things. I mean, the way that the characters interact with each other is not even standard for MCU stuff. It felt more like a Josh Trank MCU movie in some ways, and good and bad. So I think that it's just Sam Raimi they had this idea. Sam Raimi had a vision because he's Sam Raimi for it,
Yeah.
and they thought this is a perfect fit for him anyway, and they let him do what he wanted, just like with Taika Waititi, just like with James Gunn. I think that just Sam Raimi had a really different take.
Yeah.
And because of that, and him already kind of being like a film fangoria, comic book nerd, he knew how to make basically a movie that's all splash pages.
Yeah.
Franny, what did you rate it? Because we didn't get your rating.
Yeah, I'd say this is a 9 out of 10 for me.
Fuck
I like
yeah.
that it I wouldn't say it necessarily stands alone plot wise, but it's so different than like all the other MCU movies. I feel like it's really artistic, and like I feel like this could be somebody's entry point in a weird way. Like this could get somebody like hyped to like want to watch something else.
No. Here's the thing. I don't know if I necessarily agree, but I know exactly why you feel
Right.
that way. And I think that's part of I think that's the split with this movie.
And I like how it's not too impactful to the MCU, because I feel like
Well, don't say that.
Yeah, we
Okay,
don't know.
it's not necessarily not.
You're getting too close. You're getting too
I am
close.
getting too close.
Because that's, first of all, guys, not necessarily true. Second of
really
all,
not
guys,
true. I talk out of my ass half the
second
time.
of all, guys, we won't let her spoil it. But anyway,
No, but like
she wasn't trying to, but still.
I wasn't trying to, definitely not. But I like how it feels more one-off than a lot of them do.
It feels
Right?
more
Like I wouldn't say it necessarily is, but like it feels it. There's a vibe.
This movie has an entirely, like, in the sense, it is an MCU film,
Right.
but that's what I said when I don't like the way that it fits in with everything. I think that this MCU movie has its own identity, and
Correct.
maybe, just maybe too much of one.
I like that it stands out. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, no, I like it too. I do like it. I just don't like, when we're talking about a film franchise that's hitting its 30th movie at the end of this year, you kind of do want to make sure that consistency stays, especially when you're a comic book fan
Yeah,
like
but
me.
is the consistency getting a little fucking stale?
No, I agree. No, here's the thing. My reaction, though, isn't like I don't like the movie for what it is. I love the movie for what it is, but know that this is a risky time for the MCU.
Yeah,
They're doing
that's fair.
things that the audiences are going to have adverse reactions to. Just like, not to be spoilery, but this movie is definitely going to be one that I think that the involvement of younger children watching it will be a bit of an issue for Disney going forward. I think Disney's going to get real backlash for this movie, in a good way and a bad way. And I won't get into how, why, or what reasoning that is, but it's a different vibe. It's a different feeling. If this movie was made in the 80s by Sam Raimi and it wasn't attached to the MCU, it'd be like my favorite fucking movie of all time. I would love it even more.
So I do want to play a little bit of devil's advocate for what you were saying, how talking about it being standalone.
No.
I remember us sitting down and talking about what one of your biggest issues with the MCU was like all the TV shows, all the additional stuff that is hitting.
No, I
that
agree.
It's like, is this
agree.
going to become required watching content? And technically, yeah, if you had watched those side stories and everything,
You need to see WandaVision. I don't care
I
what
feel
anybody
like they
says.
give you everything you need, though.
Bullshit. The emotional revenants. We'll talk about it here in a second.
Yeah,
emotionally.
emotionally.
I want to, guys. We're getting too close. So this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to pose a question to you guys. A lot of the reason why this movie's been more controversial is solely because there's a lot of expected cameos. A lot of them are fulfilled. Well, a lot of them are not. What I want to do after the break is not only get into the spoilers, but I want us to talk about what cameos we wanted to see and didn't see, what cameos we did see and thought, well, that was kind of bullshit. So we'll be right back with that. And then, guys, we're just going to start the spoilers right now. This movie's impossible to talk about without spoilers. We gave it an honest try. Yeah. We nearly spoiled it like 8 times while trying to do that. So when we come back, it's going to be spoilers. All right, guys, let's do it. Guys, we're back, and Bruce Willis was dead the whole time. I mean, sorry, wrong spoilers. Guys, we're back with the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness spoilers, and I just had a question just directly that's going to spoil everything, but it's the first thing I want to talk about involving the movie because I think it's not really getting into the plot, but it's getting into something that everyone is talking about. Guys, what were some of the cameos you saw that you guys were like, this isn't even that great? And what was some of the cameos that you were waiting for to happen the whole time? So excited, you had heard so much hype about it, and then it's just not fucking there. And why is it Deadpool? Kidding.
So I didn't really give a fuck about like half of the cameos that like we didn't know the characters, you know? Like honestly.
Well, you didn't know Captain Carter.
Illuminati.
You didn't know Captain Carter because you didn't watch a lot of What If.
Yeah. So like I didn't give a fuck about like any of those cameos, honestly.
You didn't care about Sir Patrick Stewart?
I mean,
fuck it, hovering on.
He's been Professor X
fine.
for 21 years.
That was like the only one I thought was kind of cool. I liked seeing.
Kind of cool. What about John Krasinski? He looked delicious.
I liked seeing John Krasinski.
I was not expecting fucking John Krasinski to pull up because I thought the whole MCU was trying to be like, oh yeah, no, the Fan 4 stick gone. Like,
they already announced the new movie.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people. So, okay, let me just side break here. This is an interesting topic. So, guys, you might have not heard that the guy who directed, I think who directed Spider-Man Homecoming? Was it John Watts? Is that it was? I can't remember. The guy who directed Spider-Man Homecoming, she'll put it down in the video somewhere. She'll put his name. He's right there or whatever. I don't know. You can probably do that, right? You can make that happen. No, it's going to be better this way. It's going to be better this way. People don't want to hear us say his name.
Fair enough.
Old Goople Doop, whatever his name is. He was going to direct the Fantastic Four movie, and then out of nowhere, Kevin Feige was like, tapped him on the shoulder. He gave him the good old college tap on the shoulder, like, you're not doing it, buddy. It's not happening. And usually when something like that happens, it's pretty messy when you get fired from a movie you already got hired for. Mm-hmm. And he was really chill about it. And I believe, putting on my tinfoil hat right now, that he was given a different movie, possibly a West Coast Avengers movie, I don't know. But something that he'd be willing to leave Fantastic Four from. And it's because this new Reed Richards that John Krasinski's playing, he's so popular that they're going to have him star in that movie, and they're going to have him fucking direct it too. Calling it.
That would be pretty.
I would like that.
Yeah. So I would be pretty fucking hyped about that because I just love John Krasinski.
You know he agreed to be in this movie because it's like the first Marvel horror movie, and that dude made one of the best like thriller horrors in like the past couple of years with A Quiet Place. That was a great theatrical experience, and I want to see him do something like that with Fantastic Four. I think that'd be dope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I'd say I was very, very, very underwhelmed by Captain Carter. I don't know why. It didn't resonate super well for me. I think because they kept making such a big deal of like, oh my God, you don't understand how important What If is going to be. Like, everybody was talking about how interconnected it was going to be, and they're like, you have
spoilers
to watch
for What If too.
Yeah. But they drop Captain Carter in there, and it's like, oh yeah, no, like it's neat that she's there. Same with the second Doctor Strange with him being. I assumed that he was going to be the big bad, But then it's just like, oh, well, that's basically just where he's hanging out now, I guess.
I called Wanda being the bad. I said the biggest bad after Thanos will be Wanda in 2015 when Age of Ultron came out. And Zane can back that up.
Yeah.
And it's because she's such a tortured character in the comics and always went back and forth. And I thought, well, the way her brother died, the way that, like, very early on they're telling you the people introduced in Age of Ultron can, you know, be fucked with in certain ways. Like, these are different kind of characters. They're not going to be so standalone like the original Avengers were. Like, they're not a part of the original. And it's like, they're going to mess with that character. They're going to morph it. They're going to change it. And they turned her into the best villain in a long time.
Yeah.
In a long time. And she was goofy at times in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, she was running around like the Grudge at times. And I was still like, this bitch is so scary. I love her.
Yeah. I will say one cameo that was so speculated that I'm not that upset that he's not in there. Everybody thought that Tom Cruise
is Iron Man. That was so
big. They were
big.
talking about him being superior Iron Man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which
That would
is
have been
like,
cool.
that would have needed like its whole own fucking movie to bring superior Iron Man in there because it's such a fucked character.
Well,
from
there
the
was also
comics.
talk of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. There was talks about...
But Wolverine in the Illuminati, that's a hard sell.
But
like,
the thing
Iron
is,
Man
but you have
already
to
in it.
understand that we're talking about multiverses. There's no guarantee that the only people they were going to meet in the multiverse was going to be the Illuminati.
Yeah.
This is oddly enough a very small multiverse story. Everything Everywhere All at Once tackles more.
Yeah.
And that's fine. This movie had its devices and what it wanted to do. I thought a lot of like the history they were like introducing was also very reminiscent of Invincible. I won't say why, but if you've seen Invincible on Amazon, there's a lot of elements that like very inspired. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. Clearly inspired, but really great. A cameo that I was hoping for was a Taron Egerton Wolverine because everybody keeps saying that he's probably going to be Wolverine, and that would have been fucking cool to see. It would have been cool. You're in the multiverse of all these characters. It would have been cool to see a little bit more, but that doesn't affect the way I feel about the overall movie. But yeah, I agree with people who say the cameos were disappointing. It's because this movie was marketed wrong. All the marketing was about who was going to be in it. Oh, it's going to have all these stakes. This movie is almost entirely inconsequential.
Yeah.
It only really affects Dr. Strange and Wanda, and that's about it.
That's kind of what I like.
And it introduces America.
I would say, introducing America and then kind of setting up for, like, I feel like a lot of Phase 4 has been like, oh, the multiverse is breaking a little bit. And now it's breaking a little bit more. New movie just dropped, breaking a little bit more. They keep edging towards like a Secret Wars event or like having that whole full universe break where it all gets slammed together. And I think that's going to be the hard reset because the franchise is getting so deep in the weeds. They do need, it's the same thing that happens with comic books. When they get so muddled, they have a universe reset event like Secret Wars or on the other side for DC, like Flashpoint was not the most recent reset event, but having that for the MCU, I think that's what this universe break is moving towards. And this seems just like another crack in the framing.
I kind of disagree, Gary. I'll get into why, but I actually want to ask Franny a question. Franny, what did you think when John Krasinski and everybody came on the screen?
I thought that was pretty cool. I like John Krasinski,
I was
but
just
I didn't know
wondering,
like any
since
of the
like
other
you weren't there,
characters.
like I just was wondering what you had thought about that.
I listened to Logan about when to use the restroom during this movie. He had like an exact like phrase to listen for, and I went, and apparently it was the wrong fucking time
It
because he will
wasn't.
not let me live it down.
Zane, you were there. She was in the bathroom for a long
I
ass
was in the
time, was she
bathroom
not?
for 5
Hot
minutes.
fucking minute.
I was in the bathroom for
Zane and I looked
5
at each other
minutes.
like, wow. We really kind of did. We were like, she's been gone for a long time.
Well, like as soon as the Ultron bots step up to the thing, I'm like, oh fuck, this is where they're about to say the Illuminati thing, and I look over and Fran's fucking gone, and I'm like, bro, this is the thing that the internet has been freaking out about
know.
forever.
I mean,
is
I
the
didn't
idea
really
that
watch-
the Illuminati is going to be in
I've
it.
never read any of the comics, so I guess it.
It's so like
Not
the
bad.
Illuminati are such a huge thing in the comics that I know that it's such a ubiquitous thing in normal everyday, like people talk about the
Right.
Illuminati and other crazy shit. So to like talk about their comic book variant of the Illuminati, I know that I was talking with like my brother-in-law, and I said like, "Oh yeah, there's speculation that the Illuminati is going to be in it," and he's like, "The fucking Illuminati!"
Right.
Like,
I was
what?
confused
Like,
when
if
they-
you
when
don't
they said
know
it.
that the Illuminati is also a thing in Marvel Comics, it is such a weird thing. But like, that is something that the internet has been breaking over. When
Yeah.
they like were showing like, oh, like Dr. Strange is going to be meeting these weird people. What's one of the big like secret groups that's in the like in the Marvel universe? And that was just the thing that everybody's like, it's gonna be the Illuminati. Here's who's in the Illuminati. Who do we think the cameos are gonna be?
Right.
That's the reason why everybody thought Tom Cruise's superior Iron Man was gonna be in it.
Yeah.
Because Iron Man is like one of the founding members of
And
the
Tom
Illuminati.
Cruise for the longest time was
Was gonna
always
be
talked
Iron
about
Man.
being
I know
Iron
that
Man.
much.
Yeah. Let's so okay. We're talking about the cameos and everything, and that's all great and good. I do think that there are choices made in the movie that I don't know if necessarily fit like other films' character choices.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was just a couple of things that the characters did that they wouldn't have done otherwise. Like some of the dialogue in this movie was very Sam Raimi, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
When they were talking in the diner and he had first met America,
Mm-hmm.
and he's talking to her, and it's just like the cringiest conversation ever. He's like, "What kind of squid was trying to kill you?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Dude, Sam, come on, like cut the scene, like
yeah.
cut the scene out. It's not good." And we're gonna figure out who she is when they start jumping through dimensions. Anyway, the
Well-
dimension jumping scene was incredible.
Well, if you don't read the comics, you don't know who she is.
No,
Starts
I mean
jumping
literally, but they get
dimensions.
to actually
But
know
yeah.
each other when they
Yeah,
go to
for
this
sure.
new timeline. They didn't really even have
They
much of
didn't
a
need to
conversation
explain
before
it.
that.
I wish
Mm-hmm.
that they had. I wish that they had used America Chavez a little bit more. It seems weird because she's the MacGuffin of the whole story.
I was about to say, I don't know how much
But-
more they could have really used her.
Like, I think that one of my favorite things is as they're walking down the sidewalk to the new universe, and she's just talking about like, oh yeah, no, like food is free in most universes. Like
The Bruce
it's weird that
Campbell
she-
cameo was interesting.
Yeah.
But that's
Um,
like that little bit of dialogue, that little bit of character development for her, I loved that. And then for what felt like a long time, like there's points in time where she just disappears. It's like, oh, she's either in this box or she's like strapped to this table and like she's just gone. And it's like she's always being the MacGuffin of the story. Like
That's a
that's
good
always the
point.
reason that they're doing everything is to save America. But like just to like they lose a lot of her character development in that.
But I think they could do
I still disagree, Gary.
I think a good.
I honestly I feel like she was used just enough to where like it's like it's not her movie, you know what I mean? This is like she was used in the same way that Black Panther and Spider-Man were used in Civil War, where it was like just enough. If I want to see an America-centric movie, if I'm gonna have a movie really dive into her character, because she's a complex and important, iconic new character in comics.
Yeah.
So
I wanna see
I
a
don't want
movie
it to
for
be
her.
short-ended in a Doctor Strange movie that's actually about Wanda. Also have it be also about America. It's just
I'm kind of
it's too
hoping
much.
that she shows up in the Miss Marvel series because
Mm-hmm.
those like two young like female superheroes, like I think that they would be able to like use her pretty well
They
in that.
didn't have a pillow party. It's like,
No,
what do you
like,
mean?
what do you
mean?
No, like just like they
It'd be a good setting.
because like she
Yeah.
shows up a lot of the times, like she'll bump into like the young Avengers and do stuff with them, and like having I think as they introduce
I
more
want-
of those like the West Coast Avengers, the young Avengers.
I
doing
want
stuff like that.
America to meet up with a no longer tied to anything Peter Parker,
Yeah.
and how somehow also get in with Ned and they learn the wizarding craft together.
Yeah.
That's what I want for America. I want America to more lean into the fact that she's learning magic because her powers are so universe breaking. I don't want them to be a conceptual idea in every single film. I don't want her to universe
Right.
jump every film. It makes death feel like it's not real. It takes away consequence. I want it to be taboo for her to use that power. So I want her to use something else so she's not just a MacGuffin. Because her original conception was like she was basically just like, you know, a Marvel version of Superboy in a lot of ways, and that's awesome, and that's what she should be. But if they keep this power relevant throughout the entire MCU, it's just gonna break the rules more and more. So
Which also one thing talking about universe jumping, I don't love the fact that they consider the MCU 616 because that's for comic book nerds. Universe 616 is where most of the canon stuff that happens in the Marvel comics are considered to take place.
I mean, the
Universe
MCU and the
616.
comics are not in the same multiverses, though. No one's trying to say that. I think it's more a nod to, like, we know the current canon. I really think it's more like that. I don't know if going forward they're going to keep up with a lot of these rules. It really depends on how they treat more characters in the Thor Love and Thunder movie, because I know decently well that something's going to happen that a lot of people don't know, and it all depends on how they handle that, where I'm going to be worried about multiverse stuff. I'm kind of thinking this might be more contained than we even realize, like the entirety of the multiverse itself. I feel like it's going to be like one more big event, and then something's going to happen that makes that fall apart too. So we'll see. Guys, let's switch gears here for a second, okay? Now, this was the ending for Wanda, and I think that it was kind of a controversial ending for a lot of people who really liked the character, you know, her kind of being a bad guy and then all of this going down in the way it did, her murdering the fuck out of people. Is this what you wanted for the Wanda character? And if not, what direction did you guys want to go into? It could be on a jelly bracelet or whatever. What would Wanda do for real? What would you think anyway? Did you guys like the way it went, or would you guys prefer it to have gone differently?
I think this is why, like, when we were talking before the start of the spoilers, WandaVision is such required watching, because the character choices that she ends up making only really make sense after watching her slowly.
And that's what I was talking about earlier when I said the character decisions don't make sense. And then I said, well, they kind of do, but they don't. In that if you don't watch WandaVision and you're an avid MCU movie watcher, you know, you're somebody who always goes out to the movies with their kids or whatever, you're going to be like, oh, there's Wanda. My kid's got a Wanda action figure he brought with. This is great. Right. We're going to throw that thing in the trash.
And then she goes full fucking crazy.
Yeah, dude.
But if you
scares children even.
If you get to watch if you watch Wanda, like, sit there and, like, fall in love with this false world that she, like, makes in throughout WandaVision, she's talking about, like, with when Agatha shows up, and she's talking about, like, you have built your escapism has always been these TV shows or whatever, like these perfect families, and it's like you get to watch that, like, Wanda is a broken person.
Yeah, she's very mentally unwell and, like, is going through
some shit.
The worst shit.
When she shows up and she's like, no, I am being reasonable. If you haven't watched WandaVision, you're like, she's fucking crazy. If you have, you're like, this bitch is about to fucking flip.
And because of them trying to be more inclusive, they had to include a piece of dialogue that I thought was, like, a little reaching, where they were like, I had to rip the stone out of my love's head, blah, blah. Like, they were like, I'm like, we know. Like, I'm not saying that she wouldn't dramatically say something like that. It's just another part of those moments where it sounded a little wonky. Some of the delivery on this dialogue was a little wonky. That doesn't mean it's bad. But
I like that it reminds you of, like,
but it could have done it better, is the point I'm trying to make. Like, it was so literal. It could have been like, my love was ripped away from me, and it's like, and I had to do it myself to save the world, and I'm the one who's being unfair. Like, that line that I just said is better than what really was said. Yeah. It was just like, you know, it was a little Spider-Man 3 for me. You know what I mean? Like, there was a lot of Sam Raimi, good and bad. I mean, we wanted to talk about the visual effects. I mean, the producer Lacey brought up the visual effects. I mean, she was very affected by this.
I think
especially affected.
Yeah, I think the thing that really fucked with me so much is, like, you watch all the MCU movies and the visual effects are always, like,
the top tier,
next level,
the best in the industry every time.
They fucking pull out as soon as they bought Lucasfilms, they were like, oh, we're using the fuck out of your VFX department, like, and it's always been so fucking crystal clear.
Well, they're doing what no other studio is doing. Whereas, like, now Zaslav, who just bought, he's Discovery. He just bought Warner Brothers, and they're gonna give DC their own movie studio, because Marvel did something really special where they're like, yes, you're a part of Disney, but you're your own studio. Yeah. You operate within yourself. You do your own thing. And yes, you have to answer to corporate overlords, but, like, you guys do your own thing. Like, you guys create the stories in this department and do it all by yourself. And it's like,
I think you're, like, 80s, like, young nerd. You kept saying, like, trying to say corporate, but it was coming out Cobra, and I'm just like Cobra Kai.
We watch a lot of Cobra Kai.
No, not Cobra Kai, but
no, I'm just
Commander,
I speak a lot, and instead of just like stopping like short, like people will stop short when they're doing a podcast. Sorry, I'm going off the rails here for a second. I listen to other
you're going off the
podcasts,
rails, and I didn't even get to answer your question.
I'll get. You know what?
we'll circle back to it. But
Sometimes you stumble over your words, but at least there's noise happening. Nobody's had an awkward stop.
That's true.
Let me just say this, because we were going on and on about special effects. Okay. I do believe, like in my heart of hearts, that a lot of the bad special effects in this movie are intentional. And it's because I've seen Evil Dead, I've seen Evil Dead 2, and yes, a lot of those are practical, but a lot of them were intentionally wonky and goofy. He does that. That's the kind of universe he likes to create. He likes levity in the physical visuals.
Yeah.
He puts comedy in with his horror consistently every single time. And a lot of that is based literally on the looks of these characters. The same thing goes with its bad effects.
and that's I think
They're trying to make it feel more art housey than it is, even though it's like a hundreds of millions of dollars of budget. And because of that, sometimes it looks bad, and it looks like it's from the 80s. It looks like Sam Raimi made this in the 80s, and I like it for that, but I hate it for the MCU.
Yeah. It fucks me up because there will be these moments where you do have that like goofier look, like the space octopus coming on through, acting all crazy. Like he looks goofy. He looks like retro special effects. But then there will be like these really like interesting ways of doing it, like when Wanda is all like wrapped up in that ball of spirits and magic and everything, and it looks really fucking dynamic and
sometimes that style works, because I think you'd agree with me that like so I feel weird bringing this up because you're like, don't bring this up right away, and I almost stopped myself. Zombie Strange, right?
Yeah.
So Zombie Strange is an effect through and through from the beginning of when it's shown to everything involving him, where the whole time you're like, that looks fucking cool. I like everything they're doing with that, even how campy and stupid it is. We're dealing with like Benedict Cumberbatch, and it's still fucking awesome. And
but it looks mint.
Well, yes, but it also does look kind of goofy too. And I think in the sense that I think he just had the people who worked on it had a better take on Zombie Strange than they did on the Squid Monster. I really think that's what it boils down to. It's just there was a lot of swings and a lot of hits, and there was a lot of swings and there was a lot of misses. But this movie went for breaking the code of the MCU. Pretty much any time it had a convention that it was forced to do, it went against it. For instance, when he was fighting Mordo, right?
Yeah.
It's a super powerful magical adversary, and they didn't use any fucking magic on each other the
that
whole
was
fight.
So cool. That was so cool.
No magic on each other the
that.
entire fight, and that's exactly what Sam Raimi would do. He's like, you guys have all these conventions and expectations. Well, I'm gonna fuck them. The problem is the MCU's all expectation. It's all hype. It's the hype train of the world. It's the #1 franchise of all time. So obviously hype is a big part of it. So when you don't meet expectations, sometimes it can be a really bad result for people. And so a lot of people don't like it because of that. But I agree that, I know the effects are trying to be campy, but sometimes they're just fucking bad. The eye's bad. The whole final scene, the end credit, both end credit scenes are bad. Like the Bruce Campbell of it all is funny, and I like it. I love that Lacey was like, I like the thing at the end, because one of the most hated things before I even went to see this movie was everyone saying that the last end credit scene is like the worst end credit scene of the MCU.
Well,
and the first thing Lacey said was like, I like that, and I was like, I liked it too.
I thought it was fun.
I love Bruce Campbell. He's Sam Raimi's boy. He's in all of his movies, and he did a great job in this one. He was a fun physical comedy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's another breaking of conventions that he does. It's like, oh no, the final end credit scene is like a final little teaser for the next movie to come, and he's like, no, I'm gonna put the final end credit scene in there, but it's just gonna be my boy sitting there happy he's done hitting himself.
Do you guys think Sam Raimi will ever direct another MCU film?
Sam Raimi,
because he said he'd be willing to. I'm talking about, are they going to? Because the critical acclaim for this movie, just the Rotten Tomatoes in general, it hasn't been too aggressive, but I'm telling you, there is a fire coming. Mothers, Christian ones that do carpooling will be very upset over this motion
There's
picture.
going to be some backlash, which also like to circle back, because I know you were wanting to.
I mean, like,
say your
dude,
piece on Wanda.
They haven't been this riled up since Brokeback Mountain. They're going to be like, wow, we have things to yell about. Our kids saw blood.
Yeah. And I think just also how real this movie is. Like, that's kind of what I was going to say about what they did with Wanda, is I feel like they went way more real than they go a lot of the time, which is crazy to say about like a character
And
that's
at
a
the
witch.
same time,
But like the emotions are so serious that she's dealing with that like I completely get how her character ended there, and I like the characters. I mean, I think it's dumb that like she was killed by falling rocks.
well,
like,
yeah,
probably not.
Yet
killed.
again, you know what? They're going to
just
leave
trying
that
to be
ambiguous,
ambiguous,
but
yeah.
as of right now, I do believe it's like the last thing they've talked to her about doing. So
right.
as of right now, that's
Like
the end
if
to
that
Wanda.
character really dies from fucking I get that she was like kind of like self-sacrificing, which
Yeah,
is
I mean,
a cool.
There's a
I
lot
like
of
that
there's a lot of
ending for
rubble
that.
falling on people and dying in
Yeah.
this movie.
Because that's how they take out the
But is there any better scenes than awesome action scenes when they were fighting like this whole Wizards Guild, right? And she's like breaking into their minds and showing up behind them. I'm like, and also
That was
all
cool.
the Illuminati deaths in general. Like Wanda was the best part of this movie, and it's because she's like the new fucking Freddy Krueger.
And she was
he
such a
made
good-
a new horror
Horrifying.
villain.
She was
Yeah.
such a good physical actress for this.
Oh,
too. Like,
definitely.
she fucking nailed it,
Dude, for sure. And like, you know, there is a discussion that like she could, I mean, like this could be an awards moment for her, and not
Like, she's
necessarily
such a better-
Oscars, but
She's such a better actress than like you even think post this movie.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah, no, I mean, she killed it. And the thing is
literally killed it.
yeah, she killed everybody. Sorry, but we're in the spoilers. She kills a lot of people in this. But there is some lame dialogue in here too. I wanted to mention one more, and this is one that I think, like, just in the few minutes of me looking up stuff post me going to this movie, just seeing people's opinions, because I didn't want to look at any before we reviewed it. Or before I saw it, actually, because then it would spoil it. One of the things I saw was like John Krasinski's dialogue scene before he gets like his head blown apart. Yeah, that scene's kind of lame in hindsight, and here's why. He walks up to her and he's like, blah 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 blah. I have kids too. That's all great. That's really emotionally relevant, and you're like, okay, you're understanding who Reed is at this moment, and obviously what's going to happen to him is going to be really effective. But then he says, Black Bolt can kill you with his mouth. Why would you tell her that?
Yeah.
She took care of it right away. She's like, goodbye to your mouth then, bitch. She fucking nade on his ass, got rid of his mouth
Right.
instantly.
I
Like
that
think
part of that-
ahead.
like part of it is like they give this easily like one of the coldest fucking lines of dialogue.
Dude,
like,
they
do they have a mother?
They matrixed them. She matrixed them.
Well, what I was saying, like where she's like, do they have a mother? Yes.
Yeah, no, that
then
part's
there'll
great.
be somebody to take care of them. Bah! Like fucking like
That was
ridiculous.
good.
Like that was.
But she
savage.
didn't attack then.
But then right there.
He says
it's
the
like,
thing.
He
yeah.
says the fucking thing, and it's like that takes a lot of the like coolness. Which so my issue, she's got that like savage fucking kill on turning like Reed Richards to spaghetti, and fucking Black Bolt like literally as soon as he like goes like and
his fucking head explodes. It's like if you've ever
Like-
seen Fantastic Four directed by Josh Trank, one of the worst superhero movies ever. There's a scene where Doctor Doom patrols the halls of this like space center thing they've been working at and just kills a bunch of people by blowing up their heads. And I'm like, Sam Raimi saw Josh Trank's Fantastic Four and he just Doctor Doomed Black Bolt just now.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Well, and it was
but I
like
liked
such
it
a
kind of.
like that is such a
Have you seen
tone shift
Invincible?
for the MCU?
Have you seen Invincible?
I have not.
I'm not going to
Aw,
say how it's related, but
dude.
you should watch it.
Yeah.
You should.
I know.
Because otherwise, now we can't talk about how it's related. But
But no, like that's such a tone shift right away. Just like her fucking bopping Black Bolt. That is not the type of shit that happens in an MCU movie. So I love that tone shift. But because she literally is like so fucking badass, like takes Black Bolt's fucking mouth away, and then Captain Carter is able to go fucking round after round with her for like a hot minute. And I'm just
Right.
like, Black Bolt's way fucking like that is not.
he had no mouth.
I get that he had no mouth.
I don't
but,
know
like,
that character whatsoever. I've
that's-
never seen that
It's
character
from the
before.
Inhumans, which is another. I think that they did a lot of things.
I'm not surprised that they completely like ignored the old Inhuman stuff and
Yeah.
they still just like did a Black Bolt. I get that it's a multiverse thing, but it's just funny that they never even addressed that the Inhumans show ever happened.
No.
He's like, that shit didn't happen. Forget that shit. Edward Nord was never the Hulk. Fuck that motherfucker.
But no, it's just fucking. It's wild to me. Like literally, she just like, oh, and Reed Richards, now you're spaghetti, and then also like his head pops at the end, which is really fucked. But like, and then it's like, oh, but Carter, who's just got the shield, like is like totally hit for hit with her for a hot second, and it's like that's not a like
Right.
your power curve is really fucking me up.
Didn't they? Wasn't there like almost like the dialogue they had between them was it was between her and America. Never mind.
Yeah.
There's like a girl fight moment, and it's not cool. It's really weird, and like I think it's when America finally like gets Wanda. It's just like, no, you don't. But they have this moment. Do you know what I'm talking about? And I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Why are they doing this dialogue? This is the scene where America's like finally gonna like win and everything, and this is the dialogue for this scene.
And it's like absolutely like,
and the same thing happened with Captain Carter. She was just like throwing out Captain America quotes like it was the fucking thing to do.
Yeah.
Like it was Sunday service, and she was passing out the fucking shitty ass crackers and the little bit of apple juice. She was just there to serve up that bullshit. That's all she did. She was there to have a Captain America quote and die promptly with a bloody shield they can put in the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that scene was tough. I don't like her character in there because she didn't have enough to do.
No.
Like, they should have just killed her off instantly instead of having her fight and, like, hold for a moment. Because you just know the whole time.
Yeah, and at least
everybody's already died in this opening scene. You know she's next.
Yeah, and at least with, like, the other Doctor Strange, the second cameo, technically, from the What If series, like, at least that, if you haven't seen the What If series, you're like, oh, this other Doctor
he pretty
Strange,
much explains,
like,
I'm an evil Doctor Strange murderer.
So it's like, it doesn't matter if you haven't seen it, but if you have seen it, you're like, the whole time he's talking, you're like, oh, hey, homie, he eats other Doctor Stranges. You might want to get away from him.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know that. I didn't watch What If.
So, like, literally, he goes through and he's, like, trying to become more powerful to beat the multiverse. And it's, like, the whole reason that he can't do it is because of the TVA and Loki. They're resetting the timeline each time.
Right, okay.
So he is fighting a force that he cannot win against.
Yeah.
So he goes kind of crazy and he starts consuming all these demons. And then to get more powerful, he starts bringing other Doctor Stranges to his universe, consuming their power. So it's literally
he's a cannibal.
He's
like power cannibal.
He's like the second serial killer of the movie.
And then Doctor Strange at the end has his little eye.
Because
he opened the dark hole.
I wasn't sure if he like consumed the energy.
No.
Okay.
Not at least not that they show.
Yeah.
No.
But
which I do like the fact that like from this bit of a not really a spoiler, but something that they bring up in Far From Home is the little Doctor Strange fridge. It's such a weird thing because he's got so many curses, like the eye, like other weird shit. Every time you do magic, it kind of can curse you in a certain way.
Yeah.
So he can't normally eat like normal people food. So his fridge is just stocked full of weird shit that he has to eat because he's just a cursed being.
That's
and
so
it's
weird.
Like, it is kind of neat, like them.
I'd like for
showing
them to
some
show
of those
that.
more physical.
Yeah, I would like there to be another Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah.
I would like him to actually fight Mordo with magic.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Them doing wizard shit as wizards.
Yeah.
That would be dope. Or honestly, if we could just get some like Galactus up in this MCU, that could be fucking cool.
I'm excited to see the next thing they do with America Chavez.
Yeah. I think that she's gonna be kind of off the map for a second, and then they're gonna bring her in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, is there anything that you wish would have happened in the movie that didn't?
No, I like the way the movie went. Honestly, I'm content with it.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I honestly like I said, if you're looking for something to like really fit what the MCU was, I don't know that this is the movie for you. I think this is like where we're getting more experimental, but it's even more like when Thor Ragnarok came out, people were a little annoyed, some of them in the MCU, because like this is a little different. I don't know about this, and they came to like it. Guys, just give it a chance. Let it breathe. You know, like. Maybe as time goes on, you'll like how different it is and how much it stands out for you. And it's going to be something you can revisit more because you're like, well, this is the Marvel I like, but it's also like really different and it's not as formulaic in some ways.
And I think that's one of the things that I'm kind of excited about moving forward in the MCU, because they said they're like, hey, we're not going to try to put every character that we've got into the same movie anymore. We're pretty much done with that shit. Like, there's going to be overlap. Things that happen in this thing are also going to sometimes influence that thing, but it's not always going to be so direct all the time. And I'm kind of excited to see how like these movies get to be movies on their own again, because for the like when they were first coming out, it was like, oh, this is just a cool movie and it's about an IP that I like. Now it got to the point where it's like, oh, these are all just generic Marvel movies. And now it's starting to show again where it's like, hey, the world that they exist in is interconnected, but this is what this person is doing off on their own thing. You might see somebody that you know, you might not, but it's still it's going to be able to get its own feel again. And that's something that I am a little excited for.
Me too.
Even if there was some weird campiness that I was, and like the visual effects and everything that I'm like, I don't quite know about that, but it is nice. It's refreshing to see an MCU film have its own voice again.
But I think the cinematography is actually better than most of the Marvel movies because it really has like an actual identity, you know?
I misspoke. I didn't mean cinematography. I was looking
No,
for
I know. But
visual
what I
effects.
was going to say is I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch like a standard by numbers Marvel movie and feel the same way again. I like when it has that creative turn. Like, don't just tell me a story for the sake of telling me the story. Tell me the story and make it look like
Right.
something I've never seen
And that's
before.
what this did. And
There are hundreds of millions of dollars.
it breathed like some new life.
Yeah,
honestly.
exactly. All right, guys. I mean, I think that's.
Yeah.
I think we pretty much covered it. Guys, if you liked this, please subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends. If you guys know me from like my old stuff or you just don't know me at all, you can check me out at youtube.com/Logan Tyler if you want to check out some of my personal content. I'm also on Twitter at LastLaughLogan. But would you guys have anything you wanted to plug or?
Not yet, no, but I should get a social media presence at some point.
Here soon, I'm going to start streaming on Twitch. Do not have a.
If he has it by the time with this video goes up, we'll put it in the
Yeah.
description. So.
And I just need to hard reset my Twitter. So I do not have. But be on the lookout for my Twitter.
You're like, listen, I can't have the old Twitter. There's scary things on this old Twitter.
I say I had that thing back in college and high school. Like,
Yikes.
It's dead to me.
Yeah. Right.
Did we want to play a game with this?
You know what? You know what, Zane? You know what? Why not? What game? What do you want? What would you say would be the?
Let's do a quick round of fuck, marry, kill.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay, so I would. I don't know if I'd fuck regular Doctor Strange or zombie. I'm just kidding. No,
He gets all of his ghouls with him.
I'd fuck Doctor Strange, the normal our universe one.
I'm
the
gonna
616.
soundbite that. Fuck Dr. Strange.
Well, I would. I wouldn't marry him though because he's kind of flaky. You know,
Nah,
there's a
he's,
reason.
He's beyond flaky.
There's a reason why he doesn't settle down.
You're gonna get attacked by the Darkhold if you marry him. That's what happened to that one bitch.
I'd marry Wanda because I mean she's a bad bitch.
You can
and
fix her.
I can fix her.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody feels that way.
Or
on the
we can just
internet.
be chaotic and crazy together.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
Sounds fun. And then I'd kill. You know what? Maybe America Chavez for her own good. Her powers are kind of scary.
Aren't you
Oh,
Doctor? Maybe you should marry Doctor Strange.
Goddamn.
You guys will get along just fine.
Yeah.
And also, like, there's a conflict of interest with my wife in this situation. You know.
So I think that probably go
So
ahead.
it's not fuck, marry, kill. It's fuck, marry, let Wanda kill.
Yeah,
That's
kind
fucked
of.
up. Okay.
Well, I could do it for her, but I feel like she'd be more efficient.
She wants to get the powers, you know? That's why. she'd
Yeah,
have
that'd
to
be
kill her.
hot.
Anyway, Zane.
I'd probably go ahead say kill Doctor Strange because he's his own worst enemy. Fuck Wanda and marry Wong because he just seems like a gentle person that I
Yeah.
could just get along with.
I feel like
forever.
he's dependable.
Yeah.
All right. So I'd
That's
fuck.
just make me feel safe.
Right.
So I'd fuck John Krasinski because we're honest here.
Not
No, not
Reed
Reed
Richards.
Richards. John
John
Krasinski.
I mean, yeah.
Because
He's
I want to
somewhere
be.
in the
I want to be in
multiverse.
Fantastic Four. So whatever I got to do. So yeah. No, I'd totally bang Reed Richards because like think of what he can do.
That's a good fucking point.
Bro. Anyway, so I'd probably bang him for sure. I'd marry Captain Carter because for some reason she's really good at like living longer than other people.
Yeah.
So I assume she could help me do
She's
that.
pretty hot too.
She'll be like, I'll protect you, and I'll be like, that's America's ass. So yeah, I'd marry her, and then, I'd kill. That's a tough one. because I don't want to kill Wanda because I feel like she's misunderstood.
That's where I was at.
I guess I would kill. I'd kill that one fucking guy who like let her fuck with his head. You know?
Yeah, the dude who just like fucked up the entire barrier.
Yeah, the guy who
Yeah.
killed all those people. You know that guy.
Too weak.
He said, "Fortify your mind."
Yeah,
and he's
he
like,
literally turns around
and he's like,
"Fortify
"God
your
damn it!
minds."
I just keep thinking about why they canceled Pushing Up Daisies. I can't get my mind. Oh, Wanda's here! Like that's what happened.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy. Anyway, is that about it, guys?
That's
Yeah,
about
I
it.
think that's us.
We fucked. We've married. We've killed. We've loved talking with you guys. Thank you for watching Held Captive Media. Peace out.